Hello and welcome to the third part of the Sly 40% tutorial series. This part will cover the jobs Pretty in Pinker, Tiger Tail, Spike Sushi, and the final job of episode 1, Altitude Sickness. So after something's fishy, you spawn in a safe house, the cursor is set to Murray, so the inputs in order to start and go to Pretty in Pinker are simply right X. And we're gonna select Rioichi. After spawning in the hub world, you're gonna hold 1 o'clock from the load and instantly change holding directly right when you see that the load has completed. Like this. Now there are many obstacles in the way, so destroy these so you can get to going across the bridge. So since Rioichi does have the Dragon Leap technique move, we're gonna use it in order to get to the job trigger faster. That's the movement. So let's look at all the places where you can Dragon Leap to from these certain spire point spots. So when you don't touch the camera and you jump over here, the first one is very easy since you can hold the left stick all the way from 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock. So just kind of hold up or just slightly upright in order to jump over here. Then this is a bit tighter one. The amount of different angles you can hold is a lot smaller. Here you can only hold from 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock in order to hit that chimney. So hold slightly up left or like 11:30 o'clock to get to this chimney. Then, next up, this is a easier one once again, so the chimney one is kind of hard here. With this next jump you can hold pretty much from 9 o'clock all the way to 1 o'clock. So basically all you gotta do is to not change the angular direction of your analog stick after the chimney jump. So you can just spam, you can just mash X straight to this rope here after the chimney. And Rioichi cannot do Dragon Leaps from ropes. So simply after getting onto this rope, jump off and press circle to land on this lantern. Note though that you can't mash circle, just don't do a circle boost because that will just land on the rope, obviously. So after getting over here, this is probably the most precise. Often you'll just end up leaping onto this lantern and then you can just double jump off and go to the chop trigger. But the angle you can hold for this ranges from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock. So once again, hold like slightly upright, 12:30 o'clock to jump over here. And then you can just mash X to get over here on this spire point, this last Dragon Leap. And it doesn't matter if you somehow jumped over here. One Dragon Leap from destination A to B always lasts the same amount of time, no matter the distance of the leap. So slightly upright, up left, upright, or it doesn't matter, kinda. Let's go into the job trigger, mash start, in order to skip the cinematic after entering the job. So after this load, the optimal movement uses this rope, and you're gonna want to circle boost on this rope, onto this roof. And since there are like 2 spire points, or basically 3 if you count that one, literally right in front of the rope, you're gonna want to move away from these spire points, because even if you would just wait a little bit and do some movement and then press X plus circle, you would still grab onto this spire point. So hold up left from a load by a bit, and when you see that the load has completed, Rioichi is on the edge, then you're gonna just want to start circle boosting on the rope. After the load, mash start in order to skip a cinematic. And after skipping that cinematic, hold up. Now there are certain scenarios that can happen, 4 in total, and they're all different. Optimally, if you would know the scenario that would happen, and it would be the optimal one, you would not hold up, you would hold like kinda up left, but you don't know that straight from the load since you can't see it. The objective is to get to that bouncy thing, and on your way today you're gonna come across these 2 guards, and when they spawn they can be walking either clockwise or anti-clockwise. So let's go through all the scenarios. Best scenario, neither of the guards is walking towards you. You can just run straight through. Second best scenario, the flashlight guard is walking towards you, but the monkey isn't. Third best scenario, the flashlight guard is not walking towards you, but the monkey is. Fourth and worst scenario, both guards are walking towards you. You have to dodge them both. Rioichi has silent sprint, so you don't have to worry about getting caught. Note that this is a circle boost, so you'll probably miss this jump if you're just gonna completely half-ass it. And then just jump over here and beware the frame jumps once again. Now, since this section is cycle based and all the cycles load in different spots, I'm showing the full Rioichi section before the hack here in one clip, so you can get a broad understanding of what we're doing. When learning, you shouldn't worry about mastering this section here that quickly, because in my opinion this is the second hardest platforming section in this episode after the Imperial Prison interiors. There's a lot of things going on here, so let's break it down after this clip. So with an optimal pace, the cycles here would look like this. So just dodge the lights and keep running forwards. Now here, you're gonna want the single jump circle boost on that spire point when the floor changes from wooden plates to rock tile. So like this. So we're gonna go through a lengthy section where you can just basically hold down R2 and mash X and just hold left stick in the correct directions. Now with optimal pace, you're gonna alert that spotlight, but because Rioichi is so fast, it once again just does not matter if you just keep mashing X. So when you get over here, the default destination for that dragon loop would be that bamboo tree. And based on the cycle of that ceiling lamp, you cannot always just simply dragon leap onto that one. But with optimal pace, the cycle will always line up. So just keep holding upright and jump over here, keep mashing X, and you get over here. Now this is also spinning, and if you're having a really bad luck, there's a rat there and he's gonna spot you instantly when you drop down. You're gonna want to drop down over here. So by jumping as far as you can with an extended double jump, you can actually dodge getting spotted here. Remember that you have silent sprint, so if a guard is in a bad spot, you can just wait for him to move out of your way and then just keep running. But since sometimes, especially when you're starting out, you're gonna get spotted here, so let's just see where you would spawn after failing a job here. So you would spawn over here. So if you fail the job here, you can just hold up and mash X in circle, and you can just get to dragon leaping immediately. So let's keep going. So right here you can see those traps. With optimal pace, you can just run through this cycle. It will never be bad. And this cycle here doesn't load from the start of the job. So if you lost time or failed job earlier in the job, it shouldn't affect this cycle right here. Also, why I'm still standing here is that remember that spotlight cycle that will come across right after this section? That has not loaded yet, so I can still make the fastest cycle. The cycle here is very tight, and there are a lot of ways to deal with that spotlight cycle. This strat here is a textbook example of a cycle manipulation. So intuitively you would think that the optimal line of movement would run just beside that little corner, and that is true, but because of the cycle manipulation we can't do that. When we're doing the cycle manipulation, we're gonna run straight on the right side of this platform like this until we reach like this point, and then we're just gonna start running directly forwards and single jump on that spire point when the wooden blanks are starting to get lined up horizontally again. This is because the cycle is going to load earlier if we're gonna do the intuitively optimal line of movement here. So I'm gonna demonstrate this by looking at this map here. So the spotlight cycle takes place at the center of this room over here. And this is the room where we're at right now. So I'm gonna draw some lines to showcase where the trigger area for that cycle is. So let's see what happens with the cycle if I run straight here. I'm gonna trigger the spotlight. Now if you get spotted by that cycle, you cannot outrun it. So the only option you have in order to survive is to go behind this pillar right here and wait for the spotlight to stop shooting at you. Now this strat is pretty advanced, so if you feel like you don't want to do this, Then just restart checkpoint after you see the autosave icon pop up right here. And just hold up from the load, and the spotlight will never be an issue. This is very recommended if you're just starting out. You don't want to learn the hardest strats right off the bat. Restarting checkpoint right there is a pretty good beginner level strat, since even if you would get hit by the spotlight, surviving by going behind this pillar is not actually fully consistent. Restarting checkpoint is very recommended, since if you would just wait out this cycle, it would actually take forever. Like, as you can see, it takes longer than the game would let you stand on that branch over there. We're gonna come across a laser floor, so just don't get hit there. Just jump across it. And here, the beginner level strat would be jump over here and wait for these fires to go away. Like this. And we're up to the hack. But an advanced speed strat here would be to jump over these fires. And this is actually a bit harder than it seems, since if you would just like circle boost across, you might not get enough height in order to dodge these fires. And what's even more scary is that if you just try to cut the corner, the circle input will just get cancelled, as Rioichi would bonk on a corner like this, and you would just end up falling in the water. If this happens, a nice backup is to just quickly press circle again, and Rioichi will reinstate the circle input. Rioichi does like a double circle input in the air if you just mash circle when the first one disconnects. These are pretty much some of the only jumps in the game that I do not recommend you to circle boost. And instead here, I really think that you should space out these X inputs. But still, there is a really precise circle boost. This is one of the most precise circle boosts in the game, but this is a really neat strat that saves like about 4 seconds, and it looks like this. So you can circle boost all the way from that platform to the second boiler, but you have to jump right from the edge, and as you can see, there's a small ledge here. You can run over it if you have enough speed, so you might bonk on it and lose some of your speed, which makes the circle boost not able to connect. So if you're just learning this trick for the first time, my tip would be to jump on this little platform over here. With this method, the jump is easier, and even if you would ledge grab the platform, the jump would still be quite doable. Actually, even a bit easier. Now, with a bat cycle, the fire can be on your way, so look out for this cycle in order for you to not die. But those are all my tips for this little section here. And let's go to the hack. Press circle in order to enter the hack, and we're gonna enter the first Speedrunner hack, a motion control hack. So you do need motion controls in this game. So start by tilting down, right, up, right, down. Like, this is really easy. If you're fast, you never have to worry about these extra time points that you're getting. There's one little optimization with the wires here, or actually 2. Now you see here, there are 2 spark wires that are connected to each other. Normally, if you would hold neutral on D-pad, it would look like this when you cross those junctions. But if I hold down on D-pad, it would look like this. So when a junction happens, if you're holding to the direction of the next wire on D-pad, when you're gonna cross over to that next wire, you're gonna get that little boost with the Speedrunner. Then here's the second optimization. So if you have to swap the wire that you're running on, then it's optimal to swap the wire at the earliest possible point where you can do that. So what I just do here, for example, is that I hold right on D-pad. The reason why this saves time is that changing wires in Speedrunner works kind of like the same as Dragon Leaps with Rioichi, in the sense that every wire swap takes the same amount of time. Normally, if you would not do that, you would get these completely straight swaps. But when doing them as early as possible, they won't happen like that. And instead, they're just gotta end up skipping a little portion of the wire. But the boost to a next wire saves more time, so that's why the optimal movement here looks like this. So, down, right, down, down. Here we're gonna do this a second time, but here just holding up doesn't work for some reason. So in these situations you're gonna want to mash up or mash to the direction where you want to do the swap. Sometimes it just would not connect by just holding, so that's why I tend to always mash to the direction where I want to do an early swap. So like this. Now with these endings, this is what will happen if I would just keep holding forwards. You would see that you would bonk on the top corner of that ending hole. So what you want to do with these ending holes is that you're gonna want to kind of flip the controller to the opposite direction when you're just about to fly into the ending hole. After the load, mash start in order to skip the cinematic. After skipping the cinematic, hold up. And then dodge the slide by running besides the wall here. You can get hit here pretty easily if you just half-ass this like this. No reason to take that. No reason to not take that safe, kind of. After this load, hold 2 o'clock and mash X and circle. We want to go over there. So 2 dragon leaps and 1 cane jump is all we need to get over there. So here's the entire thing at its full glory.
Now, unlock that Geisha.
Skip a cinematic. So now we come to this Murray dance, and this is fully an auto-scroller, unless of course you somehow fail the job here. But even though this is really easy, there's no strats here whatsoever, really straightforward. But there's this one thing I need to be very clear about, and that's that do not fuck around, since you can get 180 coins from this dance if you play it well, and all those coins are counted in the any % coin route, so you need these coins. Always remember to concentrate on these 3 parts when you see these sparkling inputs. You have to hit all of them in order to get all the coins. You get 60 coins in 3 bunches here in this dance, and we want to get them all. So do not take this dance for granted. It's really easy to get all these coins. It's not hard to time these inputs at all, but just don't lose concentration, because if you lose these coins, you might be a bit fucked with the coin route if you try to play optimally and do the coin route optimally. But that's it for Pretty Game Pinker. And after this job, we're gonna spawn in the safe house again, and the cursor is set to Bentley by default. This is the first time in episode 1 where we can just mash X to get out of the safe house. We don't have to think about pretty much anything. So here, just mash X, and let's go to Tiger Tail. The job trigger for Tiger Tail is located at the same spot as Pretty in Pinker, so we're gonna go there. So hold 1 o'clock from the safe house and then change to holding right after. So the route is pretty much the same, except that it's modified for Bentley, since Bentley can't jump on spire points and do dragon leaps, obviously. This jump to this lantern is pretty advanced. Bentley's gonna slide off of it extremely easily, and that'll usually end up you falling in the water if you're on the left side of it when you're gonna slide down. So as you can see, this lantern is very slippery, so the jump on this is actually very precise. So what I recommend you to do is let go of your analog stick right before you land on it. So when you land on it, you're gonna want to hold neutral. You can use the double jump on hover pack to get over here. After you have landed on this lantern, you can make it onto the roof with a single jump. So double jump like this, and do not hold forward until you have gotten the height you can get from a double jump, because otherwise you would ledge grab like this. A setup that doesn't use the hover pack or the double jump to get on this lantern looks like this. So use the one that you feel the most comfortable with. Now this jump, I have to point out that this jump is actually pretty advanced, and it doesn't save that much time, and you pretty much need a setup for it to get it consistently. Like, you need to practice it a lot and do it the same way every time. If you're just starting out, and you're probably gonna find this jump difficult when you're starting out, what I recommend you to do is to not do that lantern jump. Instead, run underneath this archway, turn left, jump on the right corner of this pad, and then just on the roof. That's the intended route. Now, since I'm covering all coin routes, I'm gonna show the adrenaline burst route too to this job trigger. Now, you rarely have adrenaline burst here. You're only gonna have it with the 500 loot route, and since you usually don't have adrenaline burst here, I'm just gonna show the route, and I'm gonna explain the adrenaline burst physics in detail in the next part of this series. And by the way, if you see this flashlight guard on your way to the job trigger, never ever hit that guard. It is rather common for that guard to be here, so just don't hit him. So after you get to the job trigger, mash start in order to skip the cinematic. And now you are controlling the RC car. So the next checkpoint is in front of the safe house, so it's a pretty long way from here, and this first section is the longest. This job is divided into 3 sections, so you're gonna use X to move, and while you are pressing X you can use L1 in order to boost, and then by pressing L2 you're gonna swap into the chicken outfit, and you can just swap between these like extremely rapidly, and then you're gonna go backwards with square, but you can't use a boost to go backwards. There's no backwards boost, so I'm pressing L2 but nothing is happening. And then R1 for shooting. The R1 is pretty useless though. You can't break these objects that are on your way in the chicken costume, but they'll automatically break when you have enough speed with the RC car. So important thing to note with this boost is that you can't use it airborne. You can only use it from a grounded state. And often with the RC car, you'll be going so fast that you'll actually be airborne, so you can't use the boost. And as you can see here, right there, I used the boost when I touched the ground for literally like 1 frame. And while I used it, it also used the thief meter. So RC car has its own gadget meter or juice, and basically the key to going fast and optimally with the RC car is optimal juice management. So you don't want to waste your juice for something useless, like those little bumps where you'll just come off the ground instantly. And when you're airborne, your momentum gets pretty well preserved, so you're gonna want to take an advantage of these airborne flights and not use the boost at all until you have kind of like once again gained a consistent grounded state. And then also right before you're gonna enter the light, just equip the chicken costume. And of course, since the chicken costume is so goddamn slow, you obviously don't want to ever use it unless you have to go across a flashlight guard's light. Now this job actually has a little skip here. The intended route would continue to go to that direction over there, but I'm not even gonna cover the intended route, so you can get out of bounds from this little corner over here. And this is very easy. It's actually ridiculously easy. I don't know how this got past the developers, but yeah, just squeeze yourself past that little corner there. Kind of like this. Easy. And we can get back in bounds from over here, from this little corner. And the trigger is gonna be right in front of us. Now, one little problem for beginners, especially in this game, is to visualize the map layouts, the hop world layouts, since they're so big. Like, I remember when I started out learning the speedrun of this game, I was completely lost in the hop worlds because I had not played the game in several years. So learning the hop layout thoroughly was a rather lengthy task. The map screen does help you to figure out things, and of course the routes in Tiger Tail as well require a bit of time to memorize. So that's why I made this kind of little demonstration with the map of episode 1. So that's the intended route for the first section of this job. And this is the shortcut route. So as you can see, the route is clearly shorter with the shortcut. And here is a side-by-side comparison. Now after this, the second section of this job looks like this in the map. And then the third section, you have to go through that area. So all in all, I hope this will help you to visualize the route. So let's go through the route for the first section for one last time. Now, instantly after the road, you're gonna come from the load by holding up and holding X button down, but you're gonna want to start the boost only slightly after you have seen that the load has completed. This way you should always get that kind of a bounce. Here, go through, and as you can see, there's a downhill slope, so right here you don't want to be using the boost. Only after you get over here and you start to go a bit more uphill, that's when you can use the boost a bit more. So you're gonna want to learn to control the RC car very well in order to pull the tight turns off consistently and optimally, regardless of your boost management. Release, start boosting again. Left, right, and don't use too much boost on these turns because otherwise you'll go wide with them. So, second section, after the load you spawn like this, so you're about to go left. In episode run this doesn't matter, but in full game runs it's rather easy to get a few extra coins by using the shooting option from R1 and just shoot all kinds of obstacles. Like, look at all these coins. So hold slightly up left from the load. And after the initial left, we're gonna go right, and you want to preserve a bit of juice for this bridge here, so that you can go airborne right after it, like this. Downhill, don't use boost, start using boost again here. This guard might be asleep, or not. That's the second part. And then the last part, hold up once again. And we're once again gonna go a bit left. Now the casual route here would go like this, but there's a little tiny shortcut that we're gonna do, and it looks like this. So once more. This entire section is a kind of a downward slope, so using boost is kind of awkward here no matter what. So then there's a lengthy unskippable cutscene, and that's it for Tiger Tail. After the job you'll spawn in a safe house while the cursor is still set on Bentley. So in order to select Rioichi as fast as possible, the inputs are left X. And we're gonna go to a job called Spiked Sushi. Now you're once again controlling Rioichi, and just like with Pretty and Pinker, you're gonna go right of the safe house. So 1 o'clock from the load, and after the load has completed, right. But this time we're gonna go behind the safe house. And the movement is pretty much the same as with Something's Fishy. Chop trigger. So the guard spawns can be the same as when going to Something's Fishy as Murray, but this time you have more options, more optimal options that don't lose time that you can use to manage the guards. There are no Dragon Leap routes for this chop trigger, unfortunately. After the load, hold directly up, run like 5 steps forward, and then pause the game in order to skip a cinematic. After the load, hold upright. We're gonna spawn like this. So the objective here is to collect 2 plant seeds from plants that grow high up here in these caverns. You can collect these in the order of your choosing, but with both of these cases we're gonna go upright after the load to that direction. One of those is over there, and we're gonna get there by using this rope. There's a few ways to get onto that platform where that rope leads. One of those involves jumping on this and then over here, or then you can just single jump circle boost from this pile of moss again on that rope like this. And in order to reach the upper platform as fast as possible, we're gonna do cane jumps. Even though the camera angle is a bit wonky, cane jumps will do. Hold upright from the load. Cane jump, cane jump, cane jump. Or hold upright from the load. Cane jump, cane jump, cane jump, cane jump. Hook swinging animations in this game are quite clunky, so you can just attach to the next hook or the spire point pretty much right after attaching to the previous one. And if you desire to hit this plant without an extra jump, then you're gonna have to space the double jump input as far as you can before landing. Mash start when the possibility to interact is loading, and immediately when you have interacted, pause the game in order to skip the cinematic, and you'll spawn right where you started from. On to the second seed. There's a little item in front of your way, so just break that. So you can see that there is a same kind of spike cycle as in Something's Fishy, like this. The actual route to the seed goes from over here, and the bugs are always in the way. So the actual chance for there to not be a bug in your way is astronomically small, and we're just not gonna fight those odds. So always just hit that plan. And as with many other cycles in this game, it doesn't actually load until you reach a certain section of the map layout. So here that spike cycle loads when you step onto that leaf, or even from hovering above that leaf. So that's why if you want to delay the spikes as much as you can, the movement you want to do looks more like this. And not like this. So basically jump immediately after landing on that platform. Let's see how far that we go. Yeah, that's pretty optimal. So after you have smacked this plant, you're gonna want to double jump onto that rope. So never single jump, always double jump this, please. And because of the camera angle going pretty crazy here and getting locked to this specific angle, you kind of don't want to do the most effective form of the cane jump, and instead I just opt to do a neutral cane jump here still, where I hold the left stick neutral when I'm doing it, like this. And now you should be close enough to do a double jump circle boost on the spire point that is near you, up ahead, right here. Now if you find it hard to make it through this spike cycle, you feel like you're getting tossed around by the spikes, the tip for me to you is to double jump, like this. And you should clear it. Pow, strike it in midair. But if we're being really optimal here, you can just run straight through the cycle. Oh, a frame jump, nice. But that's the end of the job. Mash circle to get the seed, and this is an unskippable cutscene since it is the last cutscene in the job. So that's a pretty quick job there, Spiked Sushi, and let's move on to the operation, or a so-called operation, Altitude Sickness. So once again, just like with Tiger Tail, this is the only other job in this episode where you can just mash X upon entering Safe House. So let's just do that. After the load, once again we're gonna go right, so hold 1 o'clock from the load, but instantly after that, change holding to maybe 2 o'clock. Yeah, so the job trigger is located on top of that archway over there. So we're gonna get there by using this lamppost. And then double jump paraglide input, right when you're passing this corner of the roof. So with this method you're gonna single jump circle boost on the pole, basically when you reach this red leaf over here. So the main objective is to reach that branch over there, not that branch. That's a bad branch, you'll have to do another jump. This is the only branch that will get you to the roof immediately and rather easily. But if you land on this branch, you're not gonna get enough height for pretty much anything. So then just land on this lantern and then jump over here. But yeah, there are many ways to get to this specific branch. Option 1, single jump circle boost, neutral cane jump, and jump on the branch. Option 2, single jump circle boost, effective cane jump, and then jump on the branch. Those were pretty optimal scenarios. The easier scenarios involve you to go closer to the lamppost like this before jumping, or double jump circle boosting on the lamppost. Now, caution when going to this job trigger. You do not want to mash start when you reach this job trigger. After you reach this job trigger, the first chalk talk will appear, and you skip those the same way you skip cinematics, by pressing the circle button, not start. If you mash start, there is a possibility that the start button input connects on the same frame that the chalk talk animation starts, and that will result in a consistent hard lock. So I cannot address this enough. Do not mash start when entering altitude sickness. This is the only chalk talk of episode 1, but there are like 3 in episode 2. We'll get to these every time they occur, and you kinda gotta develop a bit of muscle memory for these specific job triggers. After triggering the job, our objective is to continue to that direction. So meanwhile, when you mash circle in order to skip the chalk talk, keep holding up on the left analog stick. So let's do all of this in one go. I'm gonna trigger the job. Hold up, mash circle. This is what the chalk talk would look normally, so just press circle. So indeed we're gonna have to pickpocket that key, so drop down from the roof, and when you reach these flat rocks, you can jump and pickpocket the key. Another very important thing for convenience's sake is to not get alerted by this guard. If you get alerted, kill the guard as fast as you can. This is because the guard will be an incredible nuisance for you if you don't kill that guard after getting spotted. Since it is not recommended to run here unless you want to get spotted, after pickpocketing the key, you're gonna jump on that lantern, spider point on that lantern, and how to hold the analog stick. What I do in order to not touch the guard when I'm in the air is that I hold down left. If you keep holding down left, you're gonna grab onto this lantern, or maybe even this rope. So down left, up left, jump off it, and start mashing circle while you're airborne so that the circle input connects right when you land. This triggers a little cutscene, and you want to hold 2 o'clock after this cutscene. So the objective is to destroy the dragon heads and unlock gate. And this is how we unlock the gates. You don't need to run here. You'll get the same speed out of it. But you do need to walk with full speed at least. This is the first time since Breakout where we have to use the samurai armor. And we're gonna deflect fireballs that come out from the mouth of that dragon gate statue. Now I'm gonna show the nice and easy way for beginners to open the dragon gate. So feel free to follow exactly what I'm doing here. So when you see the info box pop up on the bottom portion of the screen, like that, jump off, equip samurai armor costume, go over here and deflect the fireball. After this little cutscene, hold 2 o'clock. And then mash circle when you reach this winch, and now hold 1 o'clock after the cutscene. And we're gonna do the same thing again. Watch the bottom portion of the screen where you see the box appear, like that. Equip the armor, deflect the ball, and after this a bit longer cutscene, hold 11 o'clock and run into the next cutscene. Now this is an unskippable cutscene. We're gonna enter a load. Now I'm gonna show the early cycle strats, which are actually pretty advanced, and they look like this. So how does this work exactly? How do you get such a big speed boost off from the winch? Well, you can see that when you're opening the dragon mouth, when you let go of analog stick, this is what will happen. You'll slide off from it. You'll slide backwards, and if you had a full speed, you'll get sent backwards with the greatest force, like this. But we're not going straight backwards, we have to go a bit to the right, and with that other winch a bit to the left, in order to get on the line of the fireball projectile. But you can see the winch still moving at full speed, even if you'd be facing towards the corner here. Like this. Keeping your direction of movement within 90 degrees of the direct straight angle with this winch is still gonna keep progressing the opening of the dragon mouth. And right when it's about to open, we're gonna start holding R1 and try to get that launch that happens backwards. But we're gonna try to preserve that momentum into vertical direction. In this case, directly right, and with that other winch directly left. So, with the result of this, I actually went too far. It's also an important thing to control your launches. Now, these are very advanced little strats here, so don't worry if you don't get them consistently. And then let's show the second one of these as well. So 1 o'clock after this little cinematic. Don't skip them, obviously. There. So that's the hop world portion of Altitude Sickness. Let's go to the next stage, which is Emperor's Palace. After the load, you wanna mash start in order to skip a cinematic. And after skipping the cinematic, hold 11 o'clock. And for the most part, we're just gonna run straight here to the next trigger, which is connected to the bridge. But we're gonna do a little shortcut here to get to the bridge a bit faster by jumping over here. So the cutscene does trigger instantly when you basically touch the side of that bridge. So be ready to press the start button when that happens. So it looks like this. Skip cinematic. After skipping the cinematic, we're gonna enter a rat fight. In this fight, we have to kill 15 of these rats, and we're controlling Murray. Now, even if you wouldn't do anything, if you would be a pacifist as Murray, this would still eventually complete itself. Because Sly and Bentley can also kill the rats, and the kills by Sly and Bentley count just as much as your own kills, but since Murray is the best at combat of these guys, of course you wanna kill the guards yourself. Now I have to say, there really are not that advanced strats involved with this fight. Try to stay away from Sly and Bentley so that they can get their own kills, or well, at least stay away from Sly. Bentley is so ineffective in combat, so you can just help Bentley if you want to, and follow Bentley around. This part is rather inconsistent. The time you get in this fight always varies by a few seconds, no matter what you do or how perfectly you played. And the rat spawns are kinda RNG too. If there are no rats anywhere near, just slam them onto the ground immediately after picking them up, or if there is a rat within throwing distance, then just throw the rat at the other rat, so they'll both die. One thing at the start especially that's recommended is for Sly and Bentley to choose their targets, and only after that you start to go after one of the rats yourself. After the fight completes, pause the game and skip a cinematic, and after the cinematic skip, you'll spawn as Rioichi, and you can just hold up and mash X and circle straight from the load in order to do a ninja spire jump, and then just do a dragon leap a couple of times. So the objective as Rioichi is to unlock the sword gate, and we're gonna do a little platforming section in order to do that first. So you see those little platforms, we have to jump on all of them, but since they're connected so closely, we don't want to actually walk on them. The optimal movement does not look like this. Instead it looks like this. Jump, 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 jump. Next up here, the intended way would be to wall sneak across this rock, but we don't need to do that. That edge is way too wide for that, so just run past it. Here you'll get a checkpoint, and instantly after you see that you have gotten the checkpoint, do a single jump circle boost on that spire point, like this. Dragon leap across, and I'm gonna show a beginner level route, so feel free to do that when you're starting out, and it looks like this. The optimal route here is one really extended double jump that looks like this. and then a double jump circle boost from the edge of this platform onto that spire point over there, like this. After this point you can just keep holding R2 and mashing X to get over here, and then just jump, 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 single jump all the way. It's very likely to get bonked on these rocks even with full running speed, so what I usually do is that I just dodge them in order to preserve my momentum, and also this way I don't have to do an additional jump on that next platform because I can just fall onto it like this. Now we're close to the end here, and the beginner level route would do something like this. But you can actually do a really extended double jump circle boost on that next spire point. It looks like this. And this is rather precise, so don't worry if you sometimes miss it. There is a backup if you miss this. You can just ledge grab this platform if you miss the circle input. Then just roll on this winch until a cutscene will trigger, and then you're gonna pause the game and skip the cinematic. So here's the entire Rioichi section. And once again, you don't have to run on this winch. So after the cutscene has spawned, skip the cinematic and hold directly up from the load. Here it doesn't take long for you to enter the next cutscene, and the cutscene will trigger when you pass the center point of this shadow area. It's directly in the middle of this shadow area. So in a run, it would look like this. Run straight, anticipate to pause, skip cinematic, and once again hold up after the cinematic. You'll be controlling Sly, and you can't run too much forwards until you'll either ledge grab or fall down. Now, there are several spire points here, 4 in total, but we're only gonna use 2 of those, like this. So in a run setting, it would look like this. And now just run straight to the trigger, keep mashing circle, because you'll trigger that by pressing circle, like this. And this is an unskippable cutscene that leads into the load and the boss fight. Now I have to remind you guys that this is the shortest non-hacking load in the game. Lasts only about 9 seconds, so anticipate the load to end rather quickly. Mash start, skip the cinematic in order to go into the boss fight. So this boss comprises from 3 platforming sections and 3 sections on top of those towers where we combat El Jefe. So let's go over the first platforming section. Now I'm gonna show the beginner level strats. So hold up from the load and just simply circle boost on these platforms that are meant to be used for thieving moves. And then this is an unskippable cutscene, so never ever ever try to skip this even instinctively. It never works, so why bother? After this cutscene, hold up left and mash X and circle, like this. Here, wait for El Jefe to shoot the side of the tower and then keep moving. And here, the camera angle will set a bit late, but there's another pole and you want to double jump circle boost on that pole after you cross this conjunction with these wooden platforms, like this. And do not extend this double jump input. And from this position, it doesn't look like it, but you can actually trigger the cutscene that happens when you enter that first tower platform. In order to do this, just double jump and open paraglider immediately after the second X input, like this. And skip the cinematic. So land on that thief platform, skip that rope, and paraglide straight towards El Jefe. So what happens here is a really precise jump that I don't recommend for beginners. It involves you to jump from the corner of that platform, like right above here to that next platform about there. You can see it easily from the map screen, like where the distance between these two platforms is the shortest. That's where you want to do a straight line of paragliding towards, from the corner of that platform where you're starting your jump from. And this is a classic example where you need to get the max height from the paraglider, so you need to space your jump inputs very optimally and open paraglider instantly after the second X input. Basically press X and R1 at the same time. Then just keep running and get to the tower platform. So on these tower platforms, we have to deal different amounts of damage to El Jefe. On this first platform we have to deal 13 normal cane swipes of damage. On the second platform, 17. And on the final one, 8. In order to get the cinematic skips optimally, count these hits in your head so you'll know when to be ready to press the start button. Now there are certain methods that we can use in order to make this fight a little bit faster. Like you see this animation here, this attack animation is quite lengthy, and what we can do is that when that animation starts, we can enter the inner circle that's around El Jefe to take damage, and this will skip the rest of this animation entirely. So we're gonna use this trick to our advantage multiple times in this fight. But wait, aren't we gonna die? And the answer is no, since every time we skip cinematic, we also restart checkpoint, and restarting checkpoint refills your health. So on top of this first tower, we want to skip this animation in specific, and nothing else. Other animations are too short in order for skipping them to be faster. And the way to skip that animation optimally, like at least the method that I use, is that I paraglide inside the damage taking zone. And I just simply press X and then start holding R1 instantly when I start to see the fire come off from the tower platform, aka when El Jefe's swords have touched the tower platform, so basically right there. And when executed, it looks like this. And that should be skipped now. Nice. Cycles on the first tower platform always end to one electric swing, and now he's gonna do the fireball animation. Let's go really close to the damage zone borders, like this. Equip the samurai armor and deflect the fireball. If we're quick here, we can be done with this first tower platform after just watching one full cycle of El Jefe's attacks. In order to do this, we must exit the samurai armor costume quickly and start hitting El Jefe in the face. And 13 hits is all we need. And now I'm gonna teach you how to exit the samurai armor optimally. So what I use are sound cues in this fight in order to know when to release the shields. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I listen and watch El Jefe to create the fireball with these sword swings. He swings once with the left sword and once with the right sword. These two sound effects create a rhythm, and what I do is that I imagine another beat or sound effect or a sword swing between these two actual sound effects that appear in the game. So in my head, the first sword swing is 1, the second sword swing is 3, and when I should be releasing the shield is actually 4, the fourth beat in my head. So this is how it works in practice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So on the 4, I did release my thumb from the square button. And after releasing the square input, you can just mash L2 in order to get out of the costume as quickly as you can. 1, 2, 3, 4. $11, $12, $13. So on the 13th hit, you pause the game in order to skip a cinematic. After the load, hold slightly upright. Basically like 12:30 AM. So simply just double jump these, and this one you can single jump, but I still recommend you double jump it for safety. And here there's another pole, and From around here, you can single jump, circle boost on the pole, and then just single jump on the tower platform. But you can just double jump from a bit further away. But the single jump version looks like this. And the double jump version in motion looks like this. And note here that getting the checkpoint and standing on the platform is not enough. You gotta go close enough to El Jefe in order to trigger the cycle, like this. So there's once again this similar type of cycle that we skip by damage abusing through it. So here once again, enter the damage zone when you see that the animation has started. And there's gonna be a 1 electric swing here. And here you can deal damage 10 times to El Jefe max, and 10 is the optimal amount. So with the next time we're gonna deal 17 in total, so just count those. Here we're gonna get 2 electric swings, remember that, 2. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And skip cinematic. Hold 1 o'clock from the load and just simply keep jumping and pressing the circle button. And that's all you need to know here. Now this final tower is the only one high enough where you can't just basically touch the pole and then just instantly jump up there. So here, after passing that fire, single jump, circle boost, cane jump, and then just jump up. So here, once again, skip the same animation that was skipped in the previous phase, like this. And 2 electric swings coming up. And here on top of the final tower, you can defeat El Jefe after just watching 1 set of attacks by dealing damage to him 8 times. But I have to address that this cycle is very tight. Do 1 slight mistake and you'll miss this cycle. And that loses about 20 seconds. But it's fine, since this is pretty hard, so you shouldn't expect to get this consistently when just learning the speedrun of this game for the first time. So let's go over what you should do in the scenarios where you would not be able to get this cycle skipped. Okay, instantly swap on the samurai costume and go near El Jefe in order to take damage immediately. And now you have to just dodge 2 of these electric swings, and that's it. And after finishing off El Jefe, you're gonna watch an unskippable cutscene that leads to episode 2. So that's the end of this part, and as with the ending of every episode, there will be a cinematic, so mash start when the cutscene ends, like this. So after the load and the transition to episode 2, there's also gonna be another cinematic that will skip by mashing circle upon entering the safe house. There's gonna be another info box, just like with the start of episode 1, and that's also gonna be skipped with pressing the circle button. But that is it for this one. Remember to like and subscribe and all that sellout stuff, and we'll see you in the next video.